Welcome to Butterfly Effect. I'm Chris Horner. Today is stage 4 of Paris-Nice 2024. Today's stage, 183 kilometers, and it has 5 categorized climbs coming in the first part of the stage, and they'll blend into the sprint competition. That's a time bonus of 6, 4, and 2 seconds that, of course, some of the GC guys might be interested in after they lost time in yesterday's team time trial. Now, after that sprint competition, they have a category 1 climb that's going to summit with about 20 kilometers to go. And then they have that last climb just before the sprint competition that's going to come over again. So the riders are going to see it for a second time. It's about 3 kilometers long and certainly pitchy at over 7%. And I'd call it a little more like 4.5 kilometers long, but they're rating it as about 3 kilometers to the finish. It's going to be an exciting stage because 7 categorized climbs and 1 sprint competition is going to keep everything interesting. When the cameras come on, there's 60 kilometers to go. We got 4 riders up the road. Stefan Bissinger's there from EF. The Boost is there from Lotto, Scaroni from Astana, and then of course we see the KOM jersey there, Matthew Bergerdo from Total Energies. Now UAE Team Emirates are getting a free ride at this moment, and they look fantastic to me tactically when I'm sitting on the Chesterfield. When I back everything up to yesterday's team time trial, UAE Team Emirates had dominated yesterday's stage with 4 riders on the general classification that'll start today's race, and that's Brandon McNulty in the yellow jersey. And of course, they have the favorite, Almeida, Portuguese rider that's supposedly, Brandon McNulty's word, their team leader here for stage 4, and the rest of the stages here at Paris-Nice. Finn Fisher-Black looked good to me too, and so did Jay Vine in yesterday's team time trial. But how will they do in today's race? Right now, when I'm looking at it with 60 kilometers to go and Bora Hansgrohe's on the front, I'm thinking they look really good. They're not even riding the front right now, and this is the tactic that I thought they should employ. Do not help Remco Evenepoel, who's 18 seconds down on the general classification, and certainly don't help Primoz Roglic, even though he's only 55 and they're under down on general classification in terms of seconds. Do not work for Primoz or Remco Evenepoel at all through Paris-Nice until you got a gap that you know you can keep on him all the way through that stage 8 when we start racing up Col d'Ez and finishing on the Promenade d'Anglais, because we all know Remco could go solo, and we've seen Primoz Roglic go solo all the time. If these two riders get together, they'll make up 18 seconds and 55 seconds in a blink of an eye if UAE Team Emirates aren't racing tactically intelligent. So, we go back to the peloton. Like I said, they're looking perfect at this moment. They're not on the front. Bora Hansgrohe are. We go up to the breakaway of 4. Scaroni's dropped everybody, and he's starting to go solo here on stage 4. But he's only got half a minute to 1 minute on the field behind from Bora Hansgrohe. That Bob Jungels is doing a full-time effort on the front there to try to blow this field up. Everything's looking small and compact up there when we're looking at the peloton. It's definitely not large. Bora Hansgrohe are doing the great racing that I believe they should because they have Primoz Roglic. Maybe, when I'm looking at this, Soudal Quickstep might put some guys on the front too and start drilling it so they can just wear this whole group out. But Soudal Quickstep's not on the front as of yet. Bora Hansgrohe's going full gas over the next 2 climbs. We're going to summit at the next 2 climbs, like I said, with Scaroni taking maximum points. They're going to drop down the next descent with about 40 kilometers to go. This descent's crazy. The roads are narrow here, and we start seeing everything blow up from the pace of Bob Jungels from Bora Hansgrohe up front going full gas. We got about 20-25 guys that'll come out of this left turn with the island where you see everyone jumping over the island, trying to keep their bikes upright, and the peloton's in 2 main groups. Who made the front group? Well, Remco wasn't caught sleeping. He's in the front group. But like I said, Brandon McNulty's there. Of course, Bora Hansgrohe's there, so that means Primoz Roglic is up front because they were the one doing the damage. When we look at the second group, who really missed? Felix Gall from Decathlon AG2R. They're chasing back there as hard as they can to try to bring these 2 groups back together because Felix Gall went second at last year's Tour of Swiss, and he had a fantastic Tour de France in 2023. So Decathlon's going up there with everything they can so they can bring Felix Gall back together. But there's some other guys missing that's in this second group because Almeida lost the front group coming down the descent for UAE Team Emirates, and Plapp is lost back there. With Plapp lost back there from Jaco Lula, he's sitting near the back of that second group, but Decathlon is going everything they can to try to bring these 2 guys back together, and they will. We got a large group up front again, but still we know it's going hard because the peloton is small in size overall. Now, what's happening? We're coming up to the sprint competition as Decathlon brought everything back together, and it's about 1K until the time bonus sprint competition. As we come into this left, Bora Hansgrohe were leading, but look over to the right. That's Lawrence Pithy from FDJ. He's at a fantastic Paris-Nice, wore the race leader's yellow jersey, and has finished podium on a couple of the sprint stages already. That's why he was in yellow. Now he wants some of these sprint competition points that's coming up, so when they come out of the left, there's a little swarm around Bora Hansgrohe. Primoz Roglic gets pushed back a little bit. He'll come out to the left side as Vlasov's on the front looking back for his leader. Primoz Roglic accelerates up the left side with Remco Evenepoel locked on his wheel. On the right, already at the front's Pithy. Pithy throws in the first acceleration, but Primoz Roglic knows he's got better legs because it's going slightly uphill. So Primoz Roglic accelerates past Pithy, and then Remco Evenepoel does the same thing to Primoz Roglic. Remco will get 6-second time bonus, which brings his GC down to 12 seconds behind the 4 guys up front from UAE Team Emirates, and Primoz Roglic will gain 4 seconds for second place. Pithy gets some sprint competition points when he comes across the line, and Jorgensen's holding on for 4th there. These 4 guys will go across the top of the little sprint competition there hill, then they'll realize, well, maybe we can make something happen, and they put a half-hearted effort in to holding off the peloton where UAE Team Emirates were caught napping and Ineos were caught napping. The 2 teams work together on the front, and they bring back the 4 leaders up front. Now we're coming into the penultimate climb. This is a Category 1 climb, so you know it's got a little bit of stiffness to it. And we see Plapp right there from Jaco Lula's getting interested as they're coming into the left turn, and the road's going to get super narrow. Plapp comes through to the left, and all of a sudden he's at the front on the right side of the road. Now, with Bora Hansgrohe that were on the front, all of a sudden Soudal Quickstep want to get on the front. A little bit late for my money. I would have put him on the front with Bora Hansgrohe from the moment that team was willing to ride. If I was Remco, I would have said, I'm willing to ride too. We put our teams on the front, and we ride every one of these 7 climbs as fast and hard as we possibly could, because I said there were 7 climbs on today's stage, but there was much more that weren't rated. So you know it's going to be a hard stage at the end of 115 miles of racing, but now's the time when Soudal Quickstep starts riding the front. Vervaeke, for some reason, rolls a little bit up the road, and Plapp jumps across to Vervaeke. Now, when I'm looking at this sitting on the Chesterfield, this makes no sense to me. You're not drilling the field back there. You're not putting speed and effort into UAE Team Emirates. When we look at Vervaeke's time, he's 5.5 minutes down on the general classification, and Plapp's only 15. They're a bunch of knuckleheads from Soudal Quickstep. What was happening? You didn't ride the beginning. Now, all of a sudden, you're going up the road. When you're 5.5 minutes down on the general classification, okay, maybe some of the teams back there ride, maybe not, but Plapp's 5 minutes more faster than Vervaeke on GC, and he's a better climber. So those 2 are riding up the road. Vervaeke gets dropped and starts coming back to the peloton. As he's getting dropped, we looked at the peloton as they're going curb to curb, and it was starting to slow a little bit. Now, all of a sudden, Bora Hansgrohe started doing some pace on the front, but Plapp's gap's up there at about 15 seconds, and then we're coming to about 1.5 kilometers to the top of this Category 1 climb, when if you look at the helicopter angle, if you look up top, that's Gaudu there, Davide Gaudu from FDJ. He went 2nd here at Paris-Nice last year. And as he's going up, you look, he's wearing a jacket, and he wants his jacket off. Look again from the helicopter angle, and you see over to the right, that's Felix Gall, and that's Perpentre, his teammate, just in front of him. Well, now we go to the front angle, and as we see the front angle, Davide Gaudu, while taking his jacket off, crashed Perpentre and took down and split this group in half. And up front, Bora Hansgrohe, like I said, is on the pedals, and they're throwing in some effort right now. Now, we start seeing, all of a sudden, the cameras come back, and who's up here? It's Santiago Buitrago with Plapp up front. We got a 2-rider break going up the road with about a 15-second gap. And he catches Plapp just before they go over the KOM, with Santiago Buitrago from Bahrain Victorious winning the KOM competition and Plapp going over 2nd. Behind, Bora Hansgrohe's on the front, but then they're going to decide they don't need the ride right now, so they're going to back off, and Jay Vine's going to get on the front for UAE Team Emirates. Now, after yesterday's team time trial, I told you guys, they went 4 guys in the top 4 of the general classification because they dominated the team time trial. I saw some comments where they said, on my show, where they said, hey, why didn't you mention the rain? I mentioned the rain, but that didn't have the big outcome in terms of why Soudal Quickstep lost yesterday's team time trial, and it didn't have the big outcome why Bora Hansgrohe lost yesterday's team time trial, because you're not making up 20-plus seconds, and you're certainly not making up 50-plus seconds on UAE Team Emirates. On the time trial yesterday, But now, today, they're in a perfect situation to not ride the front. I'm watching Peacock, and Christian Vandervelde says Jay Vine has to get on the front. They have no choice. Of course they have a choice. You don't have to ride the front just because you have the race leader's yellow jersey. Already in today's stage 4, they lost Marc Soler, who dropped out of today's race. I don't exactly know why, but he's gone, and that was another possible tactical advantage they had to play on this stage 4, or of course stage 7 and 8, and possibly even tomorrow stage 5, but he's gone. Now they're going to ride Jay Vine. This makes no sense to me. You are not the race favorite here at Paris-Nice. You're wearing the race leader's jersey, but you only ride the front if you want to keep the race leader's yellow jersey on today's stage. But if you want to win the overall classification, you do not ride the front at this moment. You make pseudo quick step with Remco Evenepoel ride the front, or you force Bora Hansgrohe to continue to ride the front, and instead Jay Vine's going to get on the front. Now I'll ask my boy Garrett, who do you think is the favorite to win the general classification here?
Remco Evenepoel.
There you go, Remco Evenepoel, and he's 22 years of age and never raced his bike. That is the team that has to ride on the front. Jay Vine's going full gas and not listening to me. As he's riding full gas, he's going to do the next 10 kilometers on the front from 20K to 10K to go before finally UAE Team Emirates wise up and pull Jay Vine off the front. Now it's time for Ineos to ride the front. Why are they getting on the front? I have no idea, but they have 4 riders in this group, and Castroviejo is going to ride hard. They have Carlos Rodriguez in there, they have De Plus in there, and of course they have the Colombian that's coming back on form, Egan Bernal. Now I say he's coming back on form, but I didn't say he's on the form of Remco Evenepoel because we've already discussed, as Garrett told you, at his 22 years of age and never raced his bike, Remco Evenepoel is the favorite. Second favorite in this race, Garrett?
Primoz Roglic.
Primoz Roglic is the second favorite. Why are you on the front right now, Team Ineos? I have no idea. But they're going to ride from 10 kilometers all the way to 5 kilometers to go. And then as the climb starts proper with 3K, we see the 2 riders up front. Plapp's setting a steady pace. He's got Santiago Buitrago on his wheel. And the gap has gone out to 30, 40 seconds at this moment, starting the last and final climb with under 3K to go. We go back to the peloton. What's happening? Well, all of a sudden, what I told you would happen earlier now is happening at this moment with Soudal Quickstep riding the front. Remco Evenepoel, he's putting Dylan van Wilder on the front to start going full gas because he believes he's the best rider here at Paris-Nice, which I believe too, along with Primoz Roglic. Now we'll figure out which one's better here at the end of stage 4 maybe. At front, we got Ian Van Wilder going full gas. Primoz Roglic is sitting a little far back. He's probably about 7th spot back there. And we started looking at Almeida, who's even further back and out of position for UAE Team Emirates. I got to believe they're not looking too good because when I back the film up a little bit further, that's Jay Vine going off the back. So Jay Vine's going to get dropped. When we talk about Grossschartner, he's already been dropped. I told you that Soler had abandoned today's race, and now Jay Vine's going out the back. They went from 4 guys on the GC at the start of today's stage, and 1/5 guy was Soler, not that far back. And now they're down to 2 guys in the front group with Brandon McNulty in the yellow and Almeida swinging on the back of this group. Up front, the 2 riders with about 2 kilometers to go. We're going to see the Santiago Buitrago starts helping out a little bit with Plapp finally. And then Santiago Buitrago is going to drop Plapp and start going solo here on stage 4 at Paris-Nice for Bahrain Victorious. Plapp knows he can take the race leader's yellow jersey if he holds on, and Santiago Buitrago knows if he can stay good on the pedals, he could take the race win here for stage 4 and possibly put himself in the race leader's yellow jersey too. But I don't know for sure because Plapp's looking pretty good back there. Behind, Ian Van Wilder's digging deep. We're going under 1 kilometer to go, and it's time for Remco Evenepoel to attack the field. The Belgian rider throws in a big acceleration, but he's got guys locked on his wheel all over the place. No one's coming off, no one's opening a gap, so we see the Belgian kid Remco Evenepoel start to de-accelerate with about 500 meters to go. Up front, Santiago Buitrago's coming into the final bend, getting ready to celebrate a victory for Bahrain Victorious to take a sweet stage 4 victory here at Paris-Nice. Behind, Plapp's doing everything he can to hold on. And he knows if he crosses the line not too far back, he can take the race leader's yellow jersey here at Paris-Nice. And Plapp does just that as he finishes 2nd on the stage. Behind, there's still time bonuses with a 3rd place left, and you can still put gaps. Felix Gall comes by Remco Evenepoel at just under 500 meters to go as Remco backed off the throttle. Felix Gall's throwing in attack for decathlon. Again, it's not getting any gaps. Then Remco Evenepoel throws in another acceleration with 300 meters. Check out the gap that he starts putting there on Jorgensen, who's sitting 3rd wheel. as the gap is starting to stretch to Jorgensen. Primoz Roglic is behind Jorgensen, so he's going to start losing some time too. And Egan Bernal, the Colombian, he's riding with the whole nation on his shoulder. He starts accelerating past Jorgensen, trying to close the gap up to Skilmos from Trek, who's holding second wheel there on Remco Evenepoel. They come out of the last final little bend with about 15 meters to go. Skilmos comes just past Remco Evenepoel to take the 4-second bonus here for third on the stage to round out the podium. And Remco Evenepoel holds on for fourth on today's stage, but gets a 2-second gap on the other favorites behind of Egan Bernal, Felix Gall, Primoz Roglic, and Jorgensen for Visma Bike. Almeida lost more time, so when everything's said and done, UAE team members lost a lot on today's stage four, excuse me. And we're talking about Soler dropping out, Grosschartner gone, Jay Vine out the back, Finn Fisher Black dropped on today's stage. When it's all said and done, Brandon McNulty's still there, and Almeida lost some seconds, but he's still there on the general classification. But Remco Evenepoel has moved up to just a few seconds behind those two riders. And Plapp's wearing the race leader's yellow jersey for what was a fantastic ride from Plapp here for Jaco Alula. Now, though, if I'm looking at it and Remco Evenepoel's 30 seconds behind Plapp, who am I thinking when we go into these later stages here, these possible sprint stage for tomorrow? Possible. I don't know if it's going to happen. It's going to be really aggressive. But if I'm Jaco Alula, who am I thinking is the actual big-time race favorite here after the end of stage 4? Garrett?
Remco Evenepoel.
Remco Evenepoel. Guys, Jaco Alula, if you're going to be put in a position to ride tomorrow, you don't have to be in a position as long as Pseudo Quickstep and Bora Hansgrohe, Primoz Roglic, as long as those guys have missed the move and they don't have anyone that's in the front break in tomorrow's stage 5, you don't have to chase. If they have someone that's in that front group in tomorrow's stage 5 that's not a threat on general classification, you still don't have to chase. You do not have to chase just because you're wearing the race leader's yellow jersey, Jay Vine. I don't know who told you to get on the front, but that was a bad mistake at that moment. Would have been better to let Plapp gain more time and put pressure on Remco Evenepoel if he wants to win Paris-Nice, and Primoz Roglic to do the work throughout all of these stages. Not just today, but even tomorrow, which could be really interesting. Stage 5 of Paris-Nice, when I look at it, Mads Pedersen's Trek team could get on the front. Visma Bike may get on the front, but Olaf Koy, I don't know if he's that kind of climber. We'll have to find out if he's got it or not. But for sure, Trek will get on the front and possibly ride all throughout the stage for Mads Pedersen to give a shot at winning tomorrow's stage 5. But if they get somebody in the break, they're not going to ride then. So keep in mind, if you want to protect your general classification or if you want to keep the race leader's yellow jersey, you got to make other teams ride on tomorrow's stage, or you have to stay with Trek, possibly with Visma Bike if you're Jaco Alula. So if you want a shot at winning the stage and keeping the jersey but don't want to ride all day, better be careful who's in the break tomorrow. Could be an interesting whole 100 kilometers of tomorrow's race where the break might not go until very late in the stage because everybody knows the break could go all the way to the line, and everybody knows if you're a GC guy slightly down on GC, you might get the race leader's jersey at the end of tomorrow's stage 5. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. I'll see you guys on the next edition real soon.